everyone, it's Bethany, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make these cute little word keychains. They're made out of faux leather and they are double-sided. They are so cute, so easy, and I'm going to show you how to make them from start to finish. So you are only going to need a few materials for this. I'm going to be using my Cricut Explore Air 2 with the deep point blade. I'm going to use my strong grip mat. I purchased some little keychains off of Amazon, I believe, and I'll link all of my materials in the description box below. And then I also am going to be using some faux leather. One of the fun things about faux leather is that if you use a print, it really makes it really fun as well. So I'm going to do a couple prints, but I'll also do a solid that has a little check pattern in this. So if you guys remember, or if you have been around my channel for a little bit, I made my girls some little faux leather snap clips for their hair using this faux leather, and after I was done, I realized it didn't take much material to make those little snap clips, so I was wondering what I would do with the rest of the material. So I thought some little leather keychains would be really fun, and they're actually so easy to create. So let's hop into Design Space. Again, all the materials that I'm using will be in the description box below in case you would like to shop this look and recreate this at your own craft table. And as always, please be sure you subscribe if you like this video, and you will be able to see what's coming to the craft table next. Alright, let's head into Design Space and get these all created.
Okay, so now that we're in Cricut Design Space, here are the first two files that I created for the two keychains that you saw in the intro. So I spelled out love on the first one and then I love you on the second one. Now when going through the fonts in Cricut Design Space, it feels like I went through just about every font that they offer because I was trying to find the perfect font for this project. And two things I really wanted to make sure of when picking a font for this particular project was I wanted something that was really, really thick, but I also wanted something that was really simple. So the thickness matters because I wanted it to be more durable and stand up a little bit longer. Of course, if you pick something that's too thin and delicate, it's going to create a keychain that is too thin and delicate. The other thing I wanted to be sure of was that the font was something that was simple. So I wanted something simple that would make clean cuts and it wasn't going to be too complicated for the Cricut to cut out. So I really also liked this font. This font is called Leah's Wedding Font, but I'll tell you why I didn't pick it. So if you zoom into this font, you'll see that there are overhangs on the letters, which are absolutely gorgeous, and this would be a wonderful font for other projects. However, I thought that those might be a little too delicate for actually a faux leather project, and it might stand up just fine, but it made me hesitant because I didn't want the faux leather to start bending over time on these little pieces. So that's what prevented me from using this font, although I really, really liked it and it was a contender for a long time. So the final font that I chose is called Learning Curve, and I'm going to show you how to create these really neat letter keychains using that font. Again, I liked it because it was just nice and simple, simple cuts, and it's nice and thick. Okay, so now the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to make 3 additional keychains, and I'm hoping that by showing you how to make them 3 times in a row, it will really help you realize how easy it is. Okay, so we're going to go over to the text box. We're going to come up to font, and I'm just going to exit out of this font, and I'm going to type in Learning Curve. And then this is the font that we're going to use. So if you'll notice, I'm going to go ahead and type out Mama because I'm going to make a keychain that says Mama. And the thing about this font is that it is a multi-layer font, but we don't need all 3 layers. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and delete the second and the third layer. Then I'm going to click on that first layer and ungroup the letters. Ungrouping now allows all of the letters to stand individually, and now I can drag and drop them in order to connect them. So I thought that using all caps was actually the best for this project. It was easier to connect them all, and then it made everything more uniform on the top and the bottom. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that down just a little bit and over a little. Just perfect where I want everything to go. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight my entire word, come up to a line, and I'm going to say align bottom. And that's just going to make sure everything is lined up to the bottom. Then I'm going to, with all of the letters highlighted, the important thing here is to make sure you weld them together. That way it creates one fluid cut. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring this right over here. I'm going to size it. I wanted my keychain to be around 4 inches. You want to make sure that you size it however you'd like, but I didn't want it to be too terribly long. So you can make them shorter, but I also wanted to make it big enough that it wasn't going to be too complex to cut out on the faux leather. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this layer, I'm going to duplicate the layer, drag it over here. I'm going to come up to flip, and I'm going to say flip horizontal. Then I'm going to take both of these layers. I am going to create about 1 inch in between them, just like this. Select both of them, and then I am going to say align bottom, just to make sure they are both in alignment together. That's very, very important because you want them to line up front and back when you glue them together after they're cut out. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to attach those together so that they stay put. Then I'm going to come over to the shapes, grab a basic square, and then I'm going to unlock it, and then I made it about 1/2 inch in height. So I'm going to go ahead and just make that about 1/2 inch, and then I'm going to bring it here. Again, I have about 1 inch between my letters. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is highlight everything. I'm going to say align, and I'm going to say center vertically, just so that little piece is centered up and down on my keychain. Now what I'm going to do is, with everything highlighted, I'm going to come over and say weld, and now I have my final keychain. Okay, let's do it again just so you can see some repetition. It'll help you remember the steps a little easier. If you're recreating this, be sure that you just watch the video as you're creating it and pause every once in a while so that you can remember every step. Okay, so what we're going to do again, come over to text box, and in this one, I'm going to create my monogram. So I'm going to say BDR. Okay, I'm going to bring it down here, make it a little bigger. Again, I don't need 3 layers, so I'm just going to delete those extra layers. Click on the final layer, ungroup. In a monogram, you usually have the bigger letter be in the middle, or the biggest letter be in the middle, so I'm going to go ahead and make that the biggest. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start connecting my letters together. Okay, so that looks just about right to me. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the B and I'm going to select the R, and I am just going to make sure that those are aligned bottom, just to make sure that those are lined up. They visually look good up and down to me, and they look like they're centered well on that D. So now what I can do is highlight, and I can say weld. Okay, so that looks great. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over, duplicate my file, bring it over to the left. Then I am going to come over, say flip, flip horizontal. Again, I'm going to put about 1 inch in between them. And it's looking a little big to me, so I'm going to go ahead and actually resize that a little bit. Okay, that looks about right. Okay, now I'm going to again put 1 inch between my 2 layers, highlight both of them, align, align bottom, and then go to grab a basic shape. And this middle part is what's going to connect them together. Okay, again, I did about 1/2 inch in height. That looks about right. Bring that up. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and attach just the letters on each side, or the monograms on each side, to keep them put. Then I'm going to highlight everything, align. I'm going to center vertically to make sure my little piece is centered perfectly up and down. And then again, with everything highlighted, we're going to weld everything together. Make sure you weld your image so that everything cuts as one big cut. You don't want to have cut marks in between. Okay, so that is ready to go as well. Let's do one more, but let's do some shapes this time. So I'm going to come over to basic shapes, and I'm just going to grab some hearts. I'll grab one heart here. I'm going to size that down just a little bit, maybe to about 1.5 inches. That would be just about right. Okay, then I'm going to duplicate that twice, and then I'm just going to connect those hearts together. I think this would make for a really fun little keychain as well. Again, I'm going to select all of them, align bottom. They look great. Go ahead and weld them together. Perfect. Now I'm going to duplicate them and then bring them over, flip horizontal. Okay, and then make about 1 inch in between them. And then let's go ahead and bring them over, align bottom, and then we'll attach those together so that they just stay put. Then I'm going to come over to shapes, grab a square. You guys have seen me do this twice before, but I'm just going to repeat it just so that you know all of the steps. Bring it down to about 1/2 inch in height, and then let's connect the two. Again, we want to make sure that piece is nice and centered, so I'm going to say align, center vertically. That looks great, and then I'm going to weld them together. Okay, so we are all set. We have 3 new keychains. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hide the first 2 just because I've already cut those out. And then because I'm going to be using 3 different colors and prints of the faux leather, I'm just going to make these a random 3 different colors. That way my Cricut knows to put them on 3 different mats. Okay, so now I am all set to go. I have my Explore machine already selected. I can go ahead and say make it. And then you'll see that because I colored all 3 of them differently, they are all going to be placed on different mats. Okay, now I can go ahead and say continue. It's going to locate my Explore Air 2. And then I'm going to browse all materials. I'm going to come down to leather, and the material that I like to use, or the material selection that I like to use, is the genuine leather setting. If you like to use something else for faux leather, then go ahead and do that, but I found that this works best for me, so I'm going to go ahead and use that and say done. Then what I'm going to do is remember to move my star wheels all the way to the right. That way they don't interfere with the faux leather. And then I'm also going to load my deep point blade, which it says to right here. Okay, let's go ahead and get started.
Okay, so when working with faux leather, I like to actually flip mine upside down because I find that it is easier to get a good grip with the leather side down on that sticky mat. The back side of the faux leather has more of a fabric or felt material, so while it does stick, it just doesn't stick as well, and you really want a good firm stick. So I'm going to go ahead and lay the pattern side or the faux leather side down on the mat, and I want to make sure that's actually going in the right direction because this is a directional piece of faux leather with the print. So I'll go ahead and lay that down really nice there. And then again, I made sure that my star wheels are placed all to the way to the right here. And then also my deep point blade is loaded into clamp B. So I'll go ahead and load my machine and then press the Cricut button to start cutting. Okay, so now that it's done, before you do anything, what I like to do is I like to just make sure that my cut has gone all the way through. And I like to do this before I unload my mat because if for some reason the cut didn't go all the way through, I could go ahead and press the Cricut button again and my mat is already aligned and it would go ahead and make another pass at my cut so that it would cut all the way through. But once you unload your mat, you can't reload it and expect it to make the exact same cut. So you want to make sure that everything has cut perfectly before you unload. So now that I've verified that, I can unload my mat and then I can remove my faux leather. So I have my design right here, all cut out. Perfect. And then what I can do is just remove my other pieces. I'll set this to the side and I will place my next piece of faux leather onto the mat and get that cut. Okay, so for the little hearts, I am going to use this sweet little floral pattern. Again, I will link all of my pieces of faux leather and where I found them below in the description box in case you fall in love with some of these pieces as well. I'm going to go ahead, actually I might use that longer piece at the top just to make sure I have just enough material to complete the cut. flip that around. Again, I'm using the leather side down on my mat. Make sure it's got a good firm grip. I'll go ahead and load it in and cut. Okay, once again, I'm just gonna pull up my piece of faux leather to make sure I got a clean cut. And once I've verified that it has cut all the way through, I will unload my mat, and then I can take my design off the mat. So I'll go ahead and make the final cut, and then we will start putting these all together. Okay, so I am just taking off my faux leather from my mat, and I actually had to change my piece of leather to a different type because, or faux leather to a different type, because I didn't have quite enough of the other pattern to complete the cut. It wasn't long enough. So I went ahead with this kind of pebbled bubblegum pink, but I'll link this as well so that you can shop that if you like that too. Okay, so now I have my hot glue all heated up. If you know of another adhesive that you would like to use better, then go ahead and do that, but I really liked the hot glue. And then there were multiple different colors that came in this pack of keychains. So there is more of a rose gold, a gold, a silver, and then more of a dark gray. So it was really nice. You can kind of tailor it to fit the color of the design that you have if you want. So for example, on my I love you, I did a nice silver, and then I did the rose gold for this little floral pattern. So you can pick and choose whichever you like, or if you just have a personal preference. So let's go ahead and do this first. I'm going to do the rose gold with this. That's my preference, and this is for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to gently fold the pieces because they have to fit within this little piece right here. So I'm just going to fold them gently, and I'm just going to get them through so that my little piece, my little clasp here is right in the middle here. Okay, so that is all ready to go. Now, when starting to apply the glue, you don't want to put any glue on this middle piece that you made to attach the two pieces, okay? So you want to start where your first letter is. So I'm going to start right where my B is. Now, the more glue you use, the better, but I would recommend only doing just about one letter at a time. It keeps it from not being too overwhelming, and it lets you go nice and slow. So now you're just going to meet and line up your letters, but it allows you to go nice and slow so that you can get a nice even lineup of everything before your hot glue dries. And then you just press, 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 press. Okay, and then you just open it right back up and continue. So you can do as much or as little based on how fast you personally work. I like to go slow so it doesn't stress me out as much. And again, the more glue you use, the better. If it seeps out the side, that's just fine because you can just wipe it off. You can even use a True Control knife or an X-Acto knife to get the edges nice and clean. And then finishing up just the last little bit. Okay. Just like this, lining them up, pressing. So cute. And again, if you get any glue coming out, you can just rub your finger and get it all cleaned up on the edges. So there we go. There's our little keychain. How cute. And now it's double-sided. I love that print. It's my favorite of the faux leathers that I ordered. And these made really cute faux leather hair clips for my girls too. So I'll be sure to link that video in case you missed that. But there's the first one. Okay, so let's go ahead and lay that to the side. And then let's do the mama one. So I think that might look good with a silver, so I'll go ahead and do that. Again, I'm just gonna gently feed the letters through that little piece, just like so, so that it lines up on that middle piece that you created to connect the letters. Okay, once again, you are going to start gluing on the letters, not on the connector piece. So I'm gonna start just with that little bit of the end there, line those pieces up, press down, Okay. And just take your time, because the slower you go, the easier it is to line everything up. You don't want to rush through it. So again, this is a really good idea if you have some scrap faux leather lying around that you're not sure what to do. You can make some really fun keychains. And I have a couple other keychain ideas coming up, so if you like this, be sure to subscribe so you can see some other ideas, because these make really good gifts for any occasion. So Mother's Day, Father's Day, they are small enough to be fun stocking stuffers. Of course, you can personalize them to say just about anything that you wish, and so they'd be really, really fun for just about anything or anyone. Okay, so I'm still lining everything up. Very cute. And final letter. And then of course, I really like this hot glue because it has this precision tip. So for example, if I need to go back through and add a little bit more glue, I could go ahead and just place my tip within the layers, add a little glue, and then squeeze. And again, if you have any seep out, you can just obviously be gentle because it's warm or very hot, and then get it all lined up like that. Okay, so there's the mama one. So cute. I love that. Okay, and then let's do the final with the hearts. So I'm going to do a rose gold on this as well. Done with these now. Get this charged a little bit, and then again feeding my little design gently through my little key ring here. Okay, there we go. And lots of glue for this piece because we have some solid pieces here. There we go. Lining up that first piece really well. That first piece will really set the tone for the rest of your keychain. So make sure that first piece is where you spend a lot of time. If you don't get that lined up, the rest of it will be off center as well. Okay. Finishing up. Got a little bit of glue running off the edge there, so again with my fingertip I will just clean that up. And it really does a good job of sealing that edge, so that's why I was saying the more glue the better, because it helps you seal around the edges and really get a nice crisp seal. Okay, so here are the final ones. I will say I feel like this is the flimsiest of material, and I felt like these were a little bit more durable. I'll go ahead and still link this so that you can see what it is and everything, but I felt like this is a little bit more flimsy, and I feel like these hold up just a little bit better. So very, very cute. I love how these turned out. Alright everyone, if you enjoyed this as well, please be sure to give this a thumbs up. If you've tried these, let me know. If you have other ideas for how to use some faux leather scraps that you have left over, please share in the comment section, and I will see you all in the next video.